More often than you think, the conversation is over and done with before your brilliant argument even has a chance to leave your lips.
Yeah, you heard me. It wasn't about a mistake you made halfway through. The game was decided before you even started playing. And the craziest part of all?
You know that exact moment I'm talking about. There was no big explosion, no yelling. It was just this subtle shift in the room, a change in the energy. That was the signal. That's when it was already lost.
So why does this keep happening? We're always told to just fix our mindset, right? But that advice, well, it's missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Let's dig into why.
I mean, you follow the rules, you try to be logical, you try to keep your emotions in check, but somehow you end up in the same kind of argument with totally different people, and it always ends in the same stalemate. If it were just about emotion, let's be honest, you would have figured this out by now. Something else is going on.
And you can see the gap right here between the plan and the reality. The theory is great. Fix your mindset. Stay calm. But in the moment, your body just betrays you. Your tone changes. Your posture gets tight. Your instincts completely hijack the situation before your conscious brain even knows what's happening.
And this is the absolute heart of it. Before you got to say your carefully planned words, a much older, much faster system had already sent a message for you, a system that doesn't need language at all.
So this brings us to the core of the whole thing, this instinctive pre-verbal programming that's running the show underneath all of our conversations.
So what exactly is this programming? Think of it like a set of survival rules your body learned from every experience you've ever had. But these rules aren't written in words. They're written in tension, in gut feelings, in pure instinct. And they are unbelievably fast, leaving your logical brain scrambling to make up a story for why you reacted after it already happened.
And the sequence is always the same. First, there's a tiny trigger, a look, a pause, a shift in tone. Bam! Your system reacts. Instantly. No thought, no words. And then, only after that, your conscious mind finally arrives on the scene to create a cover story for that feeling, an explanation we call our belief or our opinion.
Because when you walk into a room, you're not just dealing with the person standing there. You're interacting with their entire history of survival programming. You're reading their scar tissue, and they, in turn, are reading yours.
Okay, so if we're all running on this hidden programming, what is it actually trying to communicate? What is this hidden language of survival all about?
At its core, it usually boils down to one of these 4 primal defenses. The next time you find yourself in a totally pointless argument, look under the words. Is the person really defending a logical point, or are they defending their status? Are they trying to win an argument, or are they just trying to avoid the shame of being wrong?
And that is the real game. When you see these defenses pop up, you realize the conversation has nothing to do with logic anymore. It's about 2 survival systems trying not to get hurt. They are literally defending their personal history.
So how do you actually spot this happening? You learn to watch, because the body just can't lie. Look for the little tells, a sudden change in breathing, the way someone's eyes move, a subtle tightening in their shoulders. Or maybe you felt this one, that sudden drop in the room's energy. These are the signals that the survival system is officially in the driver's seat.
Understanding all of this leads you to a massive, fundamental shift in how you approach every single conversation. It's really about changing what you decide to pay attention to. So, let's go back to that conversation that failed. You weren't rejected. Your idea wasn't necessarily bad. You were simply misaligned with the other person's deep-seated survival program. You were speaking to their logic, but you accidentally triggered their defense system.
And this brings us to the single most important idea here, the one shift that really does change everything.
It starts right here. You have to let go of your obsession with the surface of the conversation, the specific words, the bullet points, the logic.
And instead, you start reading the patterns underneath it all. You stop answering what they say, and you start speaking to those primal drives we just talked about. That is the conversation that actually matters.
So what does this look like in the real world? When you start to put on this new lens, how does everything change?
Well, first, and this is crucial, this applies to you too. Those moments where you shrink back or get defensive, that's not a character flaw. It is not weakness. It is proof that your survival programming is working perfectly. It's evidence that you learned how to protect yourself.